Commissioner Johnson, it looks like you do have a quorum when you're ready.
We should be live now.
Do we have a quorum? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me pull up an agenda here. You can go ahead and do the roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Okay. Let's see. Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Burrell.
Here.
Commissioner Cawthorn.
Present.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Here.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez. It looks like he's not here yet. He did indicate he'll be here shortly. So we've got 5 in attendance and 1 absent.
Okay. What's the next item?
Invocation and pledge.
Well, we'll bypass the invocation and pledge because we had our special meeting earlier.
Okay. And okay.
Praise to our Lord, and we also did the pledge too. So
great. And we had not received any agenda additions that I'm aware of, or do you have anything?
I don't have any.
Okay, then public comments, we have not received any. We have posted the invitation to call in, and we've not gotten any calls or emails for today's meeting. That brings us to the first new business item, which is just a certificate of teleconference that's attached. And then we are up to discussing the audit findings and recommendations. We're at that point on the agenda now.
Okay. Is the audit finding posted on the agenda?
No, I don't think they're attached. I did send them out, but I'll send, if I send them again right now to the committee members, would that be helpful?
Yes.
I'll send it right out.
How many pages is that, you know?
It's only one item that we're talking about.
Okay, y'all should have received the audit report. I sent it via email. So if y'all don't get it in the next couple seconds, let me know.
I've received it.
And just to clarify, you should have received a separate email maybe about an hour and a half ago with another document for today's meeting.
Yeah, I got that one.
Great.
Okay.
I'm still looking. Y'all go ahead on. I'm just still looking.
All right. So during the last internal audit dealing with NGOs, the auditor basically had a observation or a finding that they felt was of a moderate risk. And based upon the review that we had this year, they basically saying that we should, as a committee, have a response to the observation that they gave out. And so the moderate risk ranking that they had was the evaluation criteria was not standardized or documented. So basically they're saying that we don't have a written formula or written document or guidelines on how we appropriate funds to NGOs. In my opinion, I believe that we do in a sense, because one, they fill out an application, and that's why I was going back to the application early on in the year, is that when they fill out the application, and they give us a description of how they're going to be using the funds, based upon how they're using the funds is how we actually have been appropriating money. If it's a parish-wide organization or organization that do things parish-wide, they typically have been given more money in the past. For instance, the food bank, CCAA, COA, the Meals on Wheels program, those pretty much cover every district of our parish. And then when you get down to ones that may cover one or two districts, then that number is reduced. And then when you're talking about a neighborhood organization that's doing tutoring, they pretty much have a range in which we've been given them. In years past, commissioners have added who was board members, what district the board members stay in, what district is the organization in to the application. So there's a lot of things that's considered when we talk about allocating funds. It might all not be written down in black and white, but it's all considered when we're doing the allocation of funds. So we either have to come up with an answer or basically say that we don't feel that this is an issue. And so that's the purpose for this part of the meeting.
Okay, Mr. President, since I've dealt with nonprofits for 20 some years, the things that you've just mentioned, are they stated somewhere in policy in a succinct way, or it's just that each one of us who evaluates them basically use a basic criteria? We don't have a checklist of things that we use, just like you, for an example, just what you said, certain nonprofits that serve the whole parish, you look at them one way, and want those that maybe serve several districts, you look at them another way. Then you have your neighborhood organizations that brings a question to me, because just taking the nonprofit that we have, we draw kids from all over the parish and even outside. But we don't necessarily use parish funds for those outside, because we have other donations that we use to give all of them an opportunity. How do you evaluate that as a parish-wide function, or a couple of districts, or a neighborhood? You understand my point?
Right.
Okay.
Commissioner
Yeah, I'll
Johnson.
ask the question. Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Lynn. So, see you.
Commissioner
Go ahead.
Cawthorn.
Yeah, Carter.
Hey, so I wanted to clarify, because I think I was sitting in the audit when this issue first came up, and the concern is that we don't have a formalized methodology by people requesting the funds, correct?
Either a formula or particular guidelines. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be a formula, it just has to be some guidelines.
Okay, so and so my initial concern, my question was, by us not having this guideline, does it expose us legally in any shape, form, or fashion?
No.
No, sure.
Okay. And then the second part of that, because it don't expose us legally, the fact that we want to kind of a unique, a uniqueness to the way we fund people in Caddo Parish, because we are Caddo Parish. It was my feeling that what we do and how we do it serves the uniqueness of Caddo Parish, as opposed to trying to put us in a cookie cutter type example or cookie cutter type methodology. Staying this way keeps us unique to the needs of Caddo Parish and the uniqueness of Caddo Parish. So we're not exposed to anything legally. I don't think that we need to, fix what I feel is not really broken. So, those are just my comments.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I'll chime in.
Todd, no, hold on. I see Todd.
Okay.
He raised his hand. So I get Todd and then I come back to you, Roy.
Okay. Well, I was reading over this and it said, looking at a scoring system or something like that. I mean, I know we want to look at this and have uniqueness, but at the same time, we need to have something that we can look at it no matter who it is. Doesn't matter what the organization is, but we have a scoring system or something to that effect, that if you meet this score, then it qualifies for us to give them funds. I mean, I just think it keeps us, because people change on this committee from year to year, and we all think differently. But I think if you have a standardized system as far as scoring something like that, it might keep us in line of what we're wanting to do, but at the same time give citizens an idea of this is how we do our process, this is our score, and this, then we can explain, well, this is why you didn't meet this year, and this is how you can meet next year. Or this is, you met this year, but you didn't meet this coming year, you don't meet anymore for whatever reason. I think any kind of organization I've ever been in where we give money, whether it be scholarships or anything like that, there's been some type of scoring system, and I like that. So we ought to at least look at that. That's all I have.
Okay, Roy.
To follow up, I had another question, but following up what Todd is saying, my personal experience in dealing with granting agencies, sometimes whenever they set up this concrete scoring system, it is sometimes skewed toward certain types of nonprofits, and I'll give you an example. Smaller nonprofits, which on a per capita basis can be considered as effective or more effective than some of the larger ones that have a big operational budget and what have you. So whenever you start scoring them, it's when you start putting something in too much in concrete, then based upon who's on the board or who's evaluating them, the scoring sheet sometimes is skewed. That leaves a lot of small, viable nonprofits out. I've seen that over 20 years, and I'm very cautious about being so rigid that it excludes viable nonprofits, if you understand what I'm saying there. So it needs to still be some flexibility, and I agree with Todd that there probably should be some sort of framework, but I'm just cautious that I've seen this, and certain nonprofits was funded up to a point where they revised their schedule. Then none of the small ones got it. Most of the medium and large size got them, and what that does, it undermines the fabric of our community, because many of the small nonprofits are in minority communities. That's my experience, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to also chime back in, Mr. Chairman, and also say this. I like the thought process that Commissioner Hopkins offers. Who would design, just to say, if we went in that direction, who would design the questionnaire or the scoring system? And it could be objective and it could be subjective. So, and what would be, and I'm just throwing this out to Commissioner Hopkins, I don't know if he thought through it out at this juncture, but what would be the particular areas in terms of people, groups will be scored in?
Well, I think what we would want to do, we would be involved, the commission, and then the administration working with finance to come up with a scoring system. And I think like a lot of things, whether it's CBDG and all and those different things, you're looking for groups that are low to moderate income. Those groups need to be looked at. They should have a weight that another group may not be low to moderate income, may be a little bigger, but this one may need to be weighted a little heavier because of what it does. When you talk about the food bank, it's a large organization, but they're a large group being out in the whole parish. So, but you'd have to have it weighted somehow or another. Just for example, I've dealt with Rotary scholarships up north, and we weight them to low to moderate income, and certain municipalities those kids come from are from low to moderate income. So they're weighted a little heavier on that end than someone from, say, Blanchard, which is more of a higher income area. So we look at it like that. I'm just looking at an approach that would give us something so we can answer a little easier sometimes of why do we decide on this one and we don't decide on that one? We have something we can fall back on to.
Well, I think one of the issues that a lot of this stuff is being done anyway. It's just not really documented. Henry, am I right or wrong about one of the criteria is that you have to be low to moderate income in order to be able to use the funds in the first place?
That's correct. To use the funds, we have to be able to demonstrate that it's for social welfare. And so
Right.
low to moderate income is determinative of that.
Okay. So, I mean, that category is already there. And so I don't know how would you weight one low to moderate over another one. They would pretty much get the same score. One of the issues is also talking about now prior compliance. Well, if they don't do the reporting, they won't be eligible for funding for the next year. If they don't do their part of what they're supposed to do as part of the CEA and as part of the application process, then they don't get funding. And that's why I was going back to early on in the year when we was talking about funding LSU and not them having to do an application. Then now what they're talking about in this here is basically what you just did away with. If you got an application process, there's things in there that says if you don't do this, you won't be eligible for funding for the next year. If you're talking about low to moderate income is one of the criteria in which you be getting funding, that's already part of the application process. The duplication of services is one of the harder ones to actually to score, rank, or however you want to do it, because a lot of them are tutoring type deals. And so if you got 15 tutoring mentoring programs throughout the parish, how do you rank one over the other than does it carry over into other districts? And so what we've been actually doing on that too is if it's just one in one neighborhood or if it's multiple ones in a neighborhood, then they really don't get top dollar because you basically divide all those kids in that neighborhood up to those different tutoring programs. And then you don't expect a kid to walk 4 or 5 miles or ride a bike 4 or 5 miles to a tutoring program when they can have one on their side in their neighborhood. Let's see.
Mr. Chairman.
And then one more. Then the other one is the duplication of services, underserved areas within the parish. And I think that's one of the also criteria for utilizing funding as well. So I think these are already there, part of the application process and the CEA. It just, I don't know what else they want to have other than for us to sit down and critique somebody and then have it as a scoring mechanism or a guideline. And to me, if you have a guideline, then that meets this particular observation. Yes, Commissioner Burrell.
Another one of my observations in making application to different funding sources, I found that that many times some of the nonprofits that we deal with had multiple sources. They have big donors, and what they do, they suck up all the monies from those entities that would be more amenable, like government. Government would probably be more amenable to low-income neighborhoods where a private donor may not have that same type of viewpoint. So those donors may be on the board of a nonprofit that they get plenty of money over here, and then they'll come to you and suck up whatever you got there, where some viable smaller nonprofit may not have that kind of access to private donors. You know, it's not that they don't send their information to the same donors as a large one, but they don't have the connection, the social connection. And that is a very hard criteria that I've seen over the years that has really kind of undermined our social network as it relates to nonprofits, community nonprofits.
Okay. Commissioner Cawthorn, I saw your hand up again. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I spoke it.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, what I'll do is between our next meeting, which I want to try to do another one probably around the end of the month or the 1st of August, is to come out with a draft of this recommendation on a guideline type deal or mechanism that we could utilize and use, and see how everybody will go forward.
Well, Mr. Chairman, will you be taking into consideration the things that we talked about today, which is a little different than just what you see as the focus? I mean, are you asking for our input, or you?
I just heard your input today. That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what
No, I'm saying, well, the question is whether or not you will be taking that input into your input, because you just said that I'm going to come up with a.
Well, I like
framework.
Whenever I chair an organization or a committee, I like to throw a template out so we won't waste a lot of time going back and forth on a blank sheet of paper.
I agree with that.
You can either scratch it out, add to it, but at least we'll have a starting point. And so today was basically just getting feel on how everybody felt about it, whether we were going to tell them, go take that and throw it in the trash, or do we need to address it with a particular type of document. And so from what I'm hearing today is everybody wants to basically form some type of a document to say that we will address this. So I will come up with a template. I see you, John. I'm just trying to address Roy's question and concern. And so then we'll meet, everybody have a chance to look at it. You can do all the editorial parts you want to do to it. And then when we come back to our next meeting, you'll be able to say, this is what we want to do, recommend it to the body, and then this is our answer for the audit finding. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, I'm not on your committee, but I appreciate you letting me speak. I am the chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, so I did just want to chime in at the end here and say I agree with almost everything mentioned here during the call. And I do think, as former chair of the Appropriations Committee, I do think that those processes are largely implemented. So I'm agreeing with you there, Commissioner Johnson, but I just don't know that, I just think maybe if we could just kind of put a little bit more framework around it and help to communicate in a way that will allow us to communicate that process better. I think that'll go a long way to help appease the auditors. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm good.
If not, we'll go to the next item. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ready for the next item? We are review the 2020 NGO application responses. And again, that's a document that we received just shortly before the start of the meeting. So we distributed it via email.
Right. So basically, from our last meeting, we went through each organization, and based upon their description of what they wanted to use the parish funds for, we either allocated some funds, and then some of the organizations we delayed allocation of funds based upon the casinos being closed and no revenues coming in. Now the casinos are back open, but we wanted to know how they was going to do some of their things based upon COVID-19. A lot of them had to do with tutoring, and then there was a couple that was still social welfare that still needed to firm up getting 100% of their funds. And so I got to pull that up because I hadn't had a chance to look at it myself yet either. So give me a second.
Commissioner Johnson, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Haley.
That the spreadsheet that I prepared that was sent out, right after I sent it out, we got a letter in the mail today from Youth Outreach Services. And since that one is showing on your listing that they had not sent in a status update that has now been corrected, they have. And what their letter said was that their operations have not ceased. They are still taking in at-risk girls, and that their expenses have gone up because for food and utilities, because the girls are not going to school and they're at the shelter. So that is an update to the document that y'all received earlier.
And what was that organization again?
Youth Outreach Services. A lot of people know it as the Jewel House, but it's Youth Outreach Services. Page 4, the last one.
Okay. Now what we could do is go through each one of these. It's 4 pages, Haley?
There's 5 pages.
5 pages. 5 pages, yeah. So on your spreadsheet, Haley, we funded $750,000. Of that, we delayed $428,000.
That is correct.
Okay, and how much have we paid out of the $428,000 that was in that first round? That was partial payments. Is that included in this or not?
Only thing on that list is the ones that you guys delayed. We haven't paid anything out of the ones that are delayed. I can look and tell you how much.
No, the ones that we voted on for the amended first part, we gave them a partial, but we didn't give them all of it. Is into that amount out of the 428, or that's a different total?
That's a different total. And
Okay.
Some of them have been paid, some of them have not. We're still doing the CEAs on them. But all of those are in motion to be paid based on what y'all established that they were allowed to be paid. This is just the list that we weren't paying at all.
Okay. Well, I see one on here. I see two on here that's got partial payment. So
yeah, and those probably.
But the delayed part is what you still got on here. Okay, I'm good with it.
Yes,
I'm following you.
okay.
All right. So what we should do now is go through each one. And to me, if they haven't turned in a letter, we just skip them.
I second that.
All right. The first one is ARC, the Goldman School. They said the school closed for 8 weeks, and there was a loss of parent fees for over 82,000, Century open for the low capacity. However, the expenses continue, funding is needed. The school is out now, right? Or is this a year-round deal?
That is a year-round school and the disabled kids are the ones that you guys fund. They take, whether they're on a feeding tube, oxygen, seizures, whatever, and those are the kids that you guys help fund.
Okay. Do they say in the past, is there any way that you can tell how many of those kids are low to moderate income that they utilize that $8,000 with?
I can pull up on the reports real quick.
Okay, and we'll come back to it. The next one is Bernstein Development. And basically they said that their program will be altered to a 4-week program starting June 15th to July 10th.
What is their usual length of program?
I think it's usually 8-week program. It's all summer long. And that letter came back in May. It was one of the first letters that we received. So I don't know if they actually were able to begin their program in June.
It's like a summer camp?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say right now that we don't fund the summer camps because of the COVID-19 still going on and the need to not have so many kids in one location at one time.
I'll second that motion.
Well, let me ask a question, point of information. Are there any summer camps? Because I know we wind up counseling our summer camp, but there's other activities that is also associated with our overall program that is not just the summer camp. So how do you deal with those, Mr. Chairman?
I mean, if it's part of the description of what they're using the money for, then basically we'll just take out the summer camp piece of it and then see what the other programs are.
Okay.
But if Bernstein Development, is that the one you're talking about? Or are you talking about something else?
I'm just talking about it in general because
well,
the biz camp program, I mean, our program is a year-round program, but we have a summer camp that we concentrate most of our expenditures because that's where we have to have teaching consultants certified, that type thing, food and that type thing. But Northwestern, who is our partner, has shut down their summer camps, but we also have a partner with Cotton Street Farms that we partner to deal with hydroponics and healthy eating and that type of thing, which is also a part of our overall program. And
okay.
it's part of the CEA.
Okay. Haley, you got that for the Art Goldman School yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So
when I pull it, I'm trying to get it to pull up.
okay. So on the Bernstein Development, do I have a motion to postpone that one?
So moved.
You're gonna postpone it to when?
Well, we'll meet again either the end of this month or 1st of August.
Okay. Because I've been in communication with them also, and same thing, they got jotted down, the same thing that they told me. So we can, we can postpone that till we get additional updated information.
Right.
Okay.
We can postpone it to say August.
Okay.
All right. Got a motion on the floor to postpone Bernstein Development to August, and I see how you second, Todd.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions? No questions. All in favor? I guess you got to do a roll call.
You want me to go ahead and do the roll call?
Yes.
All right. We got Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Burrell,
Yeah. Yes.
Cawthorn,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Lazarus,
Yes.
and Chavez.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
that's 6 in support.
All right. The next one, Boy Scouts of America. They were planning to do a condensed outdoor experience late July, but everything else has been ceased. I would like to postpone that one to August as well.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor to postpone Boy Scouts of America in a second. There any questions?
Well, Boy Scouts of America, Mr. Chairman. Is that boy? Oh, that's Boy Scout, not Boys Club.
Boy Scouts.
Okay. All right. Well, that's different because Boys Club is in my district, and I know they're trying to come back and do some things for the kids, recognizing social distancing and that kind of thing. Go ahead on.
Okay. Roll call.
Hey, Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Hawthorne,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 6 in support.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson, I have your answer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They have 95 children in the program. 34% of those children are below the poverty level, which my math says that's about 32 kids.
Okay. I would say on the Goldman School that we go ahead and fund them the 8,000. That's a
Second.
motion. I've got a motion to fund Goldman School for 8,000 and a second. There any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Hawthorne,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
That motion passes with 6 in favor.
Okay. The rest of them on page 1 looks like they are no. And we'll go to page 2, Girl Scouts of Louisiana. So based on theirs, traditional camps and programs are not being held. They're holding virtual programming through July and hoping to begin traditional programming in August. So on that one, I would say the same thing, that we would postpone until August.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay.
Have a
Point of-
motion and a second
Okay.
to postpone the Girl Scouts of Louisiana to August. Ready for
Point of
question now?
clarification. Yeah,
Co-
point of
Go ahead.
clarification.
Go
I'm sorry,
ahead,
Commissioner Johnson,
Burrell.
who was the second?
I think
Me.
it was Todd. Oh, Lazarus? Okay. Commissioner Lazarus. All right. All right,
Oh,
Commissioner Burrell.
Yeah, point of
On your point.
clarification, Mr. Chairman. It said in there that it has virtual programming. Someone has to do that. If that's part of the cost in their budget, would that be overlooked? You know, I
Well,
know
what I'm looking
that
at-
you don't have. Go ahead on.
What I'm looking at is that the traditional expenses that they normally would have, they don't
Right.
have. So if you take away a bunch of expenses that you would normally be doing, and now you're only doing the virtual programming, then that kind of offsets that for a time
Yeah.
being.
Okay, I guess what I'm saying, I understand the offset of the cost,
Mhm.
but if you have say a teacher that's doing the virtual programming for the youngsters that they're doing, and they have to be paid as consultants because they don't do it for free, I can assure you. We haven't had anybody from the teachers, and we have to pay them basically the hourly rate that they get for school. So my question is, although it's virtual, there may be expenses involved. So do we totally eliminate it just because it's not the traditional form of teaching?
Well, when I look at you talking about traditional counseling programs, you got plenty of expenses with those. I mean, you got
Right.
all
I
kinds.
recognize that.
Right. So basically, I'm saying if they had $30,000 allocated for traditional counseling programs, and that wasn't done, so now you're doing these virtual programming, then that 30,000 you had for doing traditional camps, now you got that for that virtual programming. So now
Right. So you
they can
reduce
offer
their
that to
budget.
that. Well, you can offer that to the teacher through July, and then when you come in August, when you're trying to restart all the other programs, then now that 30 you used, you switch your money around from traditional camps to now virtual programming. And now when you're trying to go back to traditional camps, you don't have that money because you did it on virtual. So what I'm saying is let them utilize funds that they already got, since they saying that all the camps and all the other programs are not being done. And then we can pick up in August if they come back around. If they don't come back around, then I would say that they don't get funded.
Well, let me be clear on what you're telling me, and that is, if they switch from their traditional camp, which has the excessive, the large expenditure, and they go to virtually, and you still have expenditures associated with it because you may have to have a counselor or a teacher or whoever, say as an example, then you're saying that they need to take their funds and pay for that, their funds, if they have any left, to pay that person. Say if we just using one expenditure and that's a teacher, then they pay them that $2,000 whatever dollars as an example, and then come back. I mean, how are they going to where are they going to get that?
I mean, Girl Scouts, you gonna have revenue because Girl Scouts have to pay dues.
No, I understand that, but that's
And
just
then it's part
Girl
of a
Scout.
national organization. So I mean, they gonna have funding because they got dues, memberships. Parents have to pay dues and all that kind of stuff too. So they gonna have money to do some of the programs. So what I'm just saying is, if they have canceled their traditional camps, which they had budget to do, and all that was in the budget for them to do that, if they take that out because they didn't do it, and they still have received these dues coming in for being a Girl Scout, then they have money to do this virtual program, which to me, you're talking about a Zoom, and they might pay for Zoom, which is, if they're doing it as an organization, might be about $100 and some. And then you're talking about a teacher that's gonna come in, or maybe some volunteers that come in to do other stuff for them. What's the big expense?
I'm just saying that's an assumption, but we're good. I mean, on that particular entity there, that goes back to what I said before. Some of them have very good donors that doesn't depend on you, and this could be one of them. But there are organizations that.
Well, I mean, the next one that's coming up is one that you're talking about. So,
okay, I'm with you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. So August on the Girl Scouts of America, if there's no other questions.
Ready to vote?
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Johnson
Yes.
and Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
All right, and that carries with 6 in support.
Okay. The next one is Image Changers tutoring program. It will continue via Zoom, and in-person classes will begin as soon as allowed. So, Roy, this is one that you've been talking about.
Yeah, they've
gone to tutoring using Zoom and having a teacher. So they're gonna be paying some teacher still, and they also gonna be utilizing Zoom.
Yeah, they're delivering a product, but they're delivering it on Zoom. But you're still gonna have to have your teachers and your materials and that type of thing that you use. And many times those materials are not necessarily electronic materials. They are actually a hard copy, because that's some of ours come in books and that type of thing that we give students to read. I'm just giving that as an example, Mr. Chairman, trying to cover all bases.
Okay.
Since I work with nonprofits all the time.
All right. And
Mr.
I
President.
think, go ahead.
What do they mean by as soon as allowed? Does anybody know?
I think
That's based on the level of what level we on based on the COVID-19.
Yeah, we are monitoring, Todd. We are monitoring the governor's executive order, and if we can fit that criteria with social distancing and covers, what is mask, then some parents are comfortable allowing their kids to come to a place like that. They're doing it everywhere else, Walmart and all this other place. So that's what I'm assuming that means. I know what ours mean.
And I think right now, some tutoring programs, well, really all tutoring programs are very important, with being that the kids were out of school early in the spring.
Right.
And for them to be started back in the fall, and most of them are not being studious during the summertime. That's going to be a lot of trying to make up, catch up. And I think these tutoring programs will help those kids that's already having a hard time try to stay current as possible.
Well, you're right, Mr. Chairman. They probably need that now more than any other year that they've had. So that's something to keep in mind.
So what I would say on this one is, and this is my opinion, that we could do 10,000 and then find out how the Zoom is working with the children during the summer tutoring program. And if it's something that's working, then we come back and allocate the other 10. If not, then we don't have to.
Another point, Mr. Chairman, is that we have an auditing system anyway. I mean, you all have to, we have to send in every receipt. I mean, I've never experienced that, but that's the commission's policy. And I don't know how more secure that can be whenever you have to send actual receipts in. So if they don't spend it, then they're going to have to account for it, right?
True.
Okay.
I'll second
Just wanted to make that point.
Okay. Haley, you there, Haley?
Yes, I'm here.
On the image changes, do they have the number of kids that they typically have in the tutoring program?
It doesn't say the total number of kids in this particular letter. I can look back at their application, let you know.
Okay.
Your application should have.
You got that close by?
Well, I can pull it up. It takes a second longer than normal because I'm remote.
That's fine.
But
That's fine.
yeah, I'll pull it up here shortly.
All right. Well, we'll skip that one and come back to it. And once Haley give me that number there. Inner City Entrepreneur Institute. Summer program was postponed for June. Scaled down version is planned for the fall. The ICE, along with Cotton Street Farms, will provide a hands-on experience for existing graduates in health, nutrition, entrepreneurship, and STEM training.
Yeah, you want me to explain that, Mr. Chairman?
You can, Commissioner Burrell.
We have partners. NSU is one of our partners that we do our main. I keep saying our. I'm no longer on the director. I'm a volunteer now, so that I can get past all of this political stuff that I've had to deal with the last 20 years. Hopefully. And hopefully I'm clear of that. And working with them, since our main program, which is with NSU, which is done every year, and this was supposed to be our 20th year anniversary, NSU shut down, but we also have a partner who work with us, which is Cotton Street Farms, in which we have diversified our program in entrepreneurship training to teach youngsters how to create a product and services so that we can hopefully become sustainable and get off the government dole. This is the purpose of partnering with Cotton Street Farms. And in the process, hydroponics is so unique that it also take into STEM subjects. So we're expanding into that. Plus, naturally, entrepreneurship is a part of this, because we teach them how to either create products or whatever and take it to the marketplace. And we're working on a scaled down program for the fall, based upon the governor and his edict. Any questions?
Don't look like we got none. Do I hear a motion on this one?
So move. I'm not hearing.
I'll give you a second. So on ICE, we have to fully fund them $10,000 for the remainder of the year for the programs that they got listed. And it's been moved in second. Are there any questions? I don't see nobody. Right. So
ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus?
Yes.
And Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Great. That passes with 6 in support and none in opposition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Was that for the whole amount? I'm just trying to keep a record over here. Is that the 10,000?
10,000 for ICE, yes.
And I cannot find on their reports or their application for image changer a total number of children. It references some schools that they support, but I can't find.
How many schools?
It was 4 schools.
Are they all, what's the name of the 4 schools?
Let's see, ongoing, page 2, Green Oaks. Is a school. Let's see, information schedule for. Then it says uniform for the NLK community. It said 4 schools. I'm trying to find the listing. It's going slow. Oh, here they are. It just says, okay, that's not right. It doesn't list the schools. It just says 4 schools. The only one that lists was Green Oaks Performing Arts Academy is the only school it lists, but it does say 4 schools, but it doesn't mention which schools. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we'll keep the original motion of the 10,000 now, and then come back in August and from some additional information, we'll allocate the other 10.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question.
Okay.
This is the Haley. How did we send these letters out to these people, certified or just regular mail?
Just regular mail.
I've got a couple of people who I don't know if they changed location or what. They did not receive correspondence from the parish, so which means they wouldn't have updated information.
Yeah, well, we sent it to where we have them set up as vendors, which would be where they would get their check. Because we figured that would be the best, and we didn't get anything back. We didn't get returned mail. So if you will give me a list of who those people are, I'm happy to resend the letter.
Okay, because the one that's coming up next is one of them. So, so I can get with you offline and send you that information.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mario, you still with that second on that one?
Yes, sir.
All right. So roll call, since I don't see any other questions.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Motion carries with 6 in support and none in opposition.
So that was 10,000 for image changes, Haley.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Next one is MLK CDC. They said that they provided spring tutoring. Senior socialization program was changed to senior stabilization program, and then help seniors with PPE. Summer tutoring will continue to ensure students do not fall behind on studies. School uniforms will be purchased for low-income students. Fall activities are still scheduled, which include food distribution, Christmas gifts for students, and coats, and other outerwear for children. We already awarded 10,000 and delayed 15. So the senior stabilization program, basically what they're doing is helping those seniors to have masks, and also trying to help them to get like groceries, so that they basically can call them in, somebody pick them up, and then deliver it to the senior citizens, instead of them getting out and becoming exposed to the virus. They're trying to do a lot of things to help the seniors, instead of them being out in the public, keeping them in their own environment.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion, and I'll tell you the reason why, other than what's over here. I'll make the motion for it. It's going to need a second, I assume.
What you making a motion for? I didn't hear it.
I was making a motion.
Oh, for the 15,000 that's delayed?
Well, I guess my question is, do you know, since I'll assume it's in your district, yeah, that you would know whether or not they would need the 15,000, or is that what they're applying for, or a portion of that, as you know the program? Because I don't know the program, but I'm willing to support them. And the reason why
they'll need it. Mm-hmm. They'll need it, especially when school starts. They buy a lot of uniforms for kids. Mm-hmm. But do we know how school is going to be? We really don't know. Well, it could be a combination of a hybrid or a traditional, or it could also be virtual. So right now, the schools are scheduled to open, but you don't know if students are going to be there Monday through Friday, or whether they're going to be there certain days and be virtual certain days. But school uniforms going to still be needed if school doors open up.
Mr. Chairman, if we are comfortable with our monitoring system with the commission, and that is you have to keep going back to those receipts that you have to have. Right. And then if those traditional expenses, if they are still making those traditional expenses, then I think that would be our way of making sure that they're spending the money, you know, the way that they're saying that they're spending. I'm saying we got a built-in security system because it's very strict. I can assure you, the commission
Okay.
system is
So we got
more
we got a
strict than others.
motion. All right, we got a motion to allocate the rest of the 15,000 in a second. There any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
I'm sorry, it helps to call the roll when your mute's off. Commissioner Johnson. Can you hear me?
Well, if you said Johnson, yes.
Yes, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Commissioner
Okay.
Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez.
He had to leave.
Oh, got it.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll be leaving
That-
pretty soon too.
And I'm sorry, that motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay, we'll be through in a minute, Roy, unless you talk a lot. Not too many
Well,
more organizations.
I'm gonna always ask my questions, Chairman.
That's all right. All right. Renzi Education, I think is the next one.
Yes.
Programming for 1920 school year was suspended in March. After school programming will continue in August. So this is one I would say we make a motion to suspend until postpone until August.
Second.
Got a motion to look at this one in August. I see no questions, and motion and a second. I see no questions. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lazarus.
Yes.
And Commissioner Chavez is absent. So we've got 5 in support and 1 absent. The motion carries.
All right. Next one is Robinson Rescue. I'll make the motion to do the other 25,000.
Second.
Got a motion to do the
Second.
25,000 from Robinson Rescue and a second by Commissioner Hopkins. There any questions? No questions. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez is still absent. That motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay. Next one is Shreveport Little Theater and Academy. Motion that one to August as well, because they say the outreach program will continue once the pandemic is over, which I don't see it being over in August, but
Okay, second.
got a motion and a second to postpone that one to August. Any questions? Seeing none.
All
Roll
right.
call.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez is absent. That motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay. Next one is Shreveport Opera. I'll make the motion 4,000 because they've already done the program.
Y'all ready
Second.
Second by who?
Lazarus.
Okay. Got a motion and a second by Commissioner Lazarus to do the 4,000 for the Shreveport Opera. And any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez is absent, and that passes with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay. The next one is Sisters International. They say necessary adjustments were made to provide services through virtual learning by Zoom, teleconferencing, and online media. The partnership with the Queen's Home to provide life skills training has continued.
Recommendation for half, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I can second that one. Motion on sisters for 15,000 and delay the other one until August. Is there any questions on the motion in a second?
We can get better results. I'm sure by that time we can get more information on what they've done already.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay, next one is Social Justice Civic League. Tutoring program is on hold. They desire to continue the annual scholarship award program. Once Civic is controlled, the after school program will continue at Broadmoor and Pine Grove.
Recommendation for half.
I second that one too. So we got a motion for 7,500 for Social Justice Civic League and a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
and that motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
All right. Next one is the YWCA. Programs continue, including LEAD for at-risk girls. It has continued using virtual platforms. When deemed safe, the program will continue in person. As of January 2020, they have reached 529 girls. My motion is the 10,000.
Second.
Got a motion for 10,000 for YWCA and a second by Commissioner Hopkins. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
All right, Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay. Haley, how much did we allocate today?
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
I want to chime in. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let her ask the question.
How much?
Well, so far we've got 104, but did I miss youth outreach? Remember I told you they came in late? They came in at like 1 o'clock today.
Uh-huh.
That's
yeah,
what
right. You did say that. And what did they say on theirs?
The operations for the Jewel House, which is youth outreach services, has not ceased. They take in basically.
Okay. That's good.
They said
I make a motion on 10,000 for those youth outreach services. So we have a motion and a second for youth outreach services for 10,000. There any questions? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay, Commissioner Cawthorn.
Yes. I want to make a motion. We got 2 brand new organizations to the parish, and we funded them, last year. For some reason, I got an email from one group last night said they didn't receive a letter. And the other one, I think the board chairperson may have changed addresses. But long story short, it's Loving Little Ones and U2 Inc. I want to make a motion to fund them both at $10,000 each, based on conditionally on their update to what they're doing with their program.
Okay. I mean, I could say, which one is it?
Loving Little Ones and U2 Inc.
And U2?
Yeah, they are all the way to the bottom.
Okay. And they continue their operation? They have been continuing?
Yes.
Okay. I can and you say based upon their contingent of their update. I can second that one.
Okay.
So we got a motion on the floor to also include U2 Inc. and Loving Little Ones, contingent upon them getting a letter and turning that in, since they have been continuing their programs.
The last program, they're going to do their major event August 8th.
Okay. Any questions on those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Explain to me again, each organization separately, what they do and their mission.
Okay, Loving Little Ones is a group that does what is called the pop-up shelters. I don't know, in the last fall, they did one at Independence Stadium, and it was widely attended. And what they're doing is people that are homeless, they come to the shelter, they check in, they get a haircut, they give them shaving cream, they give them lotions and those are different things. The U2 organization is an educational organization. They help kids with for free with applying for FAFSA, which is financial aid for college. They doing these things currently on Facebook and Zoom. Kids that need transition on financial aid and other things for college, they're doing via Zoom. And then the culminating activity is a trunk giveaway, which is the first weekend that most kids go off to college. And they have it scheduled this year for August 8th.
Okay. And you said 10,000 for each group?
Yeah, and both of them are brand new organizations to Parish.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
You muted, Roy.
I see him down there, but he's still muted. We'll
Yes.
go. Did you say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Cawthorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
I'm yes to move so the big group can look at it. Yes.
Commissioner Lazarus,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez is absent, and so we've got that motion carries with 5 in support and 1 absent.
Okay. That's pretty much it. Look like we're at
134,000.
294,000 that still have not been allocated yet. Am I right, Haley?
You're right.
Or delayed? So Henry, I guess on a legal standpoint of this, as revenue starts to come back from the casinos and we fund this account again, we've already allocated this money from 2019 to be in the 2020 budget. We suspended it because of the revenue, didn't have the revenue. But if we don't have the shortfall, we are obligated to pay the remaining balance to each organization that we allocated funds for.
And I'm assuming your question is if we do have the revenue to support the appropriation, to support the amounts previously appropriated, do we have to go forward with that?
Yes.
I believe that's correct. Ms. Barnett would also perhaps be able to speak to that as well.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the committee, knew that, and I didn't know if they did or not. But since this was already allocated, and all these organizations pretty much had put it in their budget, but since we are still on the shortfall, and that's why we're going through this process to prioritize ones who we think need funding right now, as opposed to ones that could be delayed further and then get their money on the third and fourth quarters of the year. Okay. Any other questions before we adjourn? Roy, you talking? I don't know if you talking to us or you talking to somebody else.
He's muted.
I'm sorry. No, I had to step away right quick, but I'll get the information from you or Lynn.
Okay. It really wasn't. I'll let you know about it. Anything else for today?
Yeah, before we leave, can Haley give me a phone call on my
Sure.
cell? Okay.
I'm gonna need you to give me your cell. I don't think I have it. You can send me privately right here on the Zoom and I can call you.
Okay. All right, I'll do it right now.
So I need to hold up the meeting until you privately send that. So once you say you privately send it, then I would say,
Haley, I'll call you. I'll call you.
Don't worry, I'll give it to you, Haley.
I'll call you. That's fine. Go ahead. We don't have to hold the meeting up.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay. All right.